Good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to come out this afternoon. My name is Jeff Broin. I'm CEO of Poet and a board member with Growth Energy. I'm honored to be joined here today by South Dakota Senate Majority Leader Dave Knutson and House Minority Leader Bernie Hunoff, as well as South Dakota Secretary of Agriculture Bill Even. All have a history of showing strong support for biofuels and South Dakota farmers. Also with us today are Brian Jennings, Executive Vice President with the American Coalition for Ethanol, Bill Chase, President of the South Dakota Corn Growers Association, Johnny Kirsteins, Legislative Director with Farmers Union, and Paul Schubeck, member of the South Dakota Farm Bureau Board of Directors. An issue of vital national importance is now before the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and is one that affects every citizen of South Dakota. In March, Growth Energy submitted a Green Jobs waiver asking the EPA to allow gasoline to be blended with as much as 15% ethanol, known as E15. E15 stands to benefit our state in many ways, from improving our environment to helping play a role in our nation's energy security. But I first want to stress that E15 would mean what E15 would mean for America's priority issue today, the economy. A rule dating back to the 1970s arbitrarily caps the amount of ethanol that can be blended with gasoline at 10%, or E10 for standard vehicles. This rule alone is holding back jobs and economic opportunities for South Dakota and America. Ethanol is poised to become one of America's greatest job-creating engines. In 2007 alone, the growth of the ethanol industry created more than 200,000 American jobs. In South Dakota, the ethanol industry has created more than 6,000 jobs and provides more than $1 billion in annual economic activity. It could do so much more. In your materials is a recent report from 3 current and past North Dakota State University researchers. It estimates that EPA approval of E15 could create 2,594 permanent new jobs and inject $419 million each year into South Dakota's economy. Nationwide, E15 could create 136,000 new jobs and boost the struggling economy by $24.4 billion. Those numbers don't take into account the jobs created by expanding South Dakota's biofuels infrastructure. The report estimates that more than 6,600 South Dakota workers would be needed to build that infrastructure to meet the demand from allowing E15. That construction activity would generate a one-time boost of $690 million. These jobs, these dollars would come quickly to our state during a time when South Dakota and America need it most. E15 is the economic stimulus our country needs, one that takes no money from taxpayers' pockets. E15 would not be a mandate. It simply provides more choices for drivers. It provides a market where drivers are free to choose ethanol over gasoline for another 5% of the fuel that they use. E15 is safe. The science overwhelmingly shows that it will not harm engines or vehicle performance. It has the same impact as the 40 billion gallons of E10 our country has already used. Thousands of hours of testing on more than 100 vehicles with various engine types have proven E15 is safe for our vehicles. Never before in the history of the EPA waiver process has this research been done on a fuel additive. Besides the economic boost, approval of E15 would expand to other benefits of ethanol with which South Dakotans are already familiar. Ethanol is more high-tech and greener than ever before. A recent study from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln found that ethanol from corn cuts greenhouse gas emissions by up to 59% over gasoline. Over a recent 5-year period, producers reduced energy consumption by 20% and water use by more than 25%. Meanwhile, ethanol production per bushel of corn went up. With the commercialization of cellulosic ethanol, possible feedstock for production would expand dramatically, as would environmental benefits and energy savings. That means new crops for farmers. At Poet, we're already using a waste product, corn cobs, to make ethanol at our pilot plant in Scotland, South Dakota. This future is limited only by regulation. Let no one tell you otherwise. Commercial-scale cellulosic ethanol production will be feasible soon, but it must have a market before that investment can occur. Finally, there is the matter of our national security. Reducing dependence on imported oil not only makes good economic and environmental sense, but it will help break our costly dependence on foreign oil. Right now, Americans provide the economic stimulus for foreign nations, many of whom have interests in conflict with our own, by sending hundreds of billions of dollars out of our country each year for oil. We must expand the opportunity for South Dakota's farmers to take the place of foreign governments as our fuel suppliers. For this to happen, we need the support of our state's citizens. The EPA is now taking public comments regarding the Green Jobs Waiver. We ask that all South Dakotans show their support for ethanol by submitting comments by May 21st. You can do so by visiting www.goe15.com. Blending higher percentage of ethanol into our gas is a step we can take right now to create American jobs, increase our energy dependence, and improve our environment.